I always find that message quite jarring. But thank you everyone for joining us. Raghu, I'll just give a
Sure.
short 2-minute intro so that people know what's going on, and then we'll just hand it over to you. So, everyone, thank you for turning up on Saturday morning. We have with us Raghu, who is the founder of SEM AI. He has been in the product marketing space and moved into AEO AI discoverability, largely because this was something he was solving in house. Then he built this thing and realized it had its own legs, and then started up his own company in that space. His story, which Varun and I heard very recently, was quite amazing. He came to us almost coincidentally, but the fact that so many people have registered for this shows that AI discoverability is a very important and big question for marketing in general to figure out. And both Varun and I were super happy to hear that Raghu is of the opinion that product marketing, of all marketing, should be at the forefront of figuring out AI discoverability, which once someone says that, we're big fans already. So I'm very, very happy and privileged to be able to hand the floor over to Raghu. As we mentioned in the invite, at the end of it, attendees we will find, and we will work with Raghu to circulate the credits to you. So thank you for showing up. Raghu, just let us know of your preferences in terms of asking questions, etc. Varun and I can moderate a little in the chat, and if you need at any point when you want to ask questions, that's one way you can do it. Like, just pause and we can funnel the questions to you and let you know what's happening. All right?
Yeah. I think questions can be asked as and when there is a query because it's easy to answer. I mean, my preference.
Okay. Perfect.
So anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for coming on a Saturday morning. Chennai is not hot today. It's very windy, so I'm not complaining. Yeah. So I'll spend 20 seconds on my background. I've got 25 years of experience in marketing, a decade in the US. And after that, recently I was a CMO of IT services company where I discovered this challenge and I thought there was something we can solve. And that's how SEM AI was born. If there is any claim to fame which I can talk about for myself, when I was in US, the very first Android phones which had the touch capability, I was the marketing guy for that. So when iPhone and Android Samsung came at the same time, so the semiconductor chip which drives it up, multi-touch, all those things was my product. So I keep saying that just to have a shameless plug for myself. So great. So why is AEO product marketing technology? AEO has come and completely disrupted the search landscape, right? Everybody is trying to find the holy grail, how to get discover in GPT or AI. Fundamentally, the logic is the same in the sense that you don't have to rethink anything. It's all about how do you cut the noise when you go. I basically say don't go to LinkedIn and try to find what AU is, right? You will probably get confused. It's basically positioning thing. That's why I thought based on my interaction with customers when I built the product, it was very, very clear it was actually a product marketing. Before I start, we sent some surveys to you guys, and it had some very, I don't know whether should I call it revealing or something which was expected. I was trying to discuss Varun and people saying that, okay, what is this? How should I even read this, right? So for example, 66%, this is actually expected that more than 50% buyers know exactly how to find, right? But the bottom 53 is also kind of where you have digital marketing owning most of the space in that space. The key thing is 50% say pharma owns comparison use case objection, but at the same time, which is essential for AEO, is not owned by product marketers, right? So it's still fragmented. So I think that matching is not done. It's probably for me, if you see the one is ignorance, people don't know what AEO is, and also a leadership thing. Like when leaders find out how to get visible about or their organic initiative, that knowledge is not there. So in one way, you can say the PMO already owns the messaging bias trust. Now, what's missing is how can you make sure AI engines refer that messaging when somebody's looking for it, right? Now, this is probably interesting. Obviously, prospects are more informed, but 70% almost, if I ask AI engines understand your product questions, 70% say no. So there, the gap is quite visible, right? In the sense that there is a visible gap that's happening, but is anything who's actually owning the process of making sure that you are getting visible or your positioning is visible in GPTs or Geminas or even Google, right? So it's very interesting. Just a snapshot. Now, what does it mean? Means that this chart basically tells you the gap. Basically, I don't have to even show anything else. It's basically buyers use LLMs for identifying the positioning, but you guys, product marketers feel that that's not happening because for whatever reason, maybe the ownership is not there, or somebody owns it, or there is a break in the chain. And if you're saying your best salesperson may not understand, definitely salesperson have to understand the position, otherwise you will not grow. That's a different thing. But then there is a clear challenge which every company is going through. I'm hoping that after this session, you have probably walked to your boss or a CEO saying that, let me take AEO. Now, just to start from the basics, right? If you go and search, what is the best CRM for my small business? Just a use case, right? What the results typically all the LLMs give is the positioning. AI describes each product on one line. It describes the bias matching. It also tells you what are the other competitors. What the message, what the answer you see in GPT is exactly the positioning of any product that comes up. Just go and search, let's say, best CRM for small business. You will see. It will say HubSpot and it will tell the features why it's good for small business. You don't have to go. That's your positioning, anyways. Now, what you have to do is my product doing that? Do you have that clarity? That is exactly so. All the GPT results are nothing but a PMM, a product marketing positioning statement. Period. There's no argument in there. It's not about what query or anything. Now, that basically kind of replaces everything, right? Your awareness campaign, your comparison, whatever you talk about, right? Buyers, nobody visits your website anymore. See, in SEO world, you'll say 20%, they'll be in Google, then they come to your website. Now it's like a fog. Nobody knows what the buyer is doing. They're all doing all their research in GPT and Google AI. But then they come out of the fog, they know, okay, they have read everything. Now when they come to your website, they're almost in a decision-making stage because they have done all the research, right? So that's what AU has transformed the whole search thing about how customers find you. So this is research we did with our own data. It's interesting that everybody gives you have to write this structure. You have to have data. This is how you need to write. But what amazing thing was, it was out of curiosity we did that. We actually looked at around 25,000 euros of our customers. We obviously Claude is one of my best friends, so we put it there and say, hey, this is the AEO structure. How much of the content here actually fits it? It actually gave me zero. There were basically, let's say there were 6 AEO criterias. There were 1 or 2 it could have said tick mark. That's it. But not every 6 were ticked off. So it also says that the one thing which came out very clearly, it was a topic monopoly positioning statement, which basically made them rank rather than the structure of the content. So that also means that as AEO becomes mature, there's a huge opportunity for you to get visible. That's what it means. Every GPT has a different way of looking at your content, but at the end of the day, what doesn't change is, does your content position your product clearly? It's the basic thing. If that is there, everything follows through brilliantly. It's not about technical SEO. Technical SEO, paid speed is a given. SEO guy will have to take care. I mean, that's not going to be an everyday thing. That's maybe every month or every quarter. You just do a hygiene check. That's it. But the core of what you have to do is your positioning. I'm going to use the word positioning throughout next 2 hours. You'll be bored of that word. So be ready for it. Now, these are some of the obvious differences. Previous blogs, review sites, company site, website. Now it's basically it's like, imagine when you're going through reels, you're browsing and you just stop when something's interesting, right? That's how AI search works. If your website or content has a lot of jargon, is very vague, it will keep going through, it will keep browsing until it comes to your website, which has much more a very definitive or very clear messaging. That's how AI search works. So you have to make sure that AI search stops browsing and comes to your website. And what you need to do is what we are talking about is the AU. So this is the visibility problem, right? Most company in SEO team will say, hey, this is our rankings and schema markup. They go in a different direction. The content team say, oh, I need to write 10 blogs this week. Then the product team probably will not be in the loop itself, but they kind of on demand. The content team goes to product team, hey, give me some content, you're done. But what is missing is that who owns the whole AEO thing is still missing. And here you can easily pass the buck to different teams saying I didn't get the content on time or the content was not rich enough, all those things. But what we found missing was the product marketing teams were not much in the loop itself most of the time because still it's very dominated by digital teams. They take previously how does the SEO workflow work? The SEO guys tell the content guy, hey, put these keywords in the content, give it to me. We are done. The content team works with the product team and says, hey, what kind of topic should I write? Or is the topic what you've written is good? Give me some snippets. That's it. I know in my previous company, that's how it used to be. And we used to do it. And then say, well, I'm ranking in Google, blah, blah, blah. But what happened also was that we were also getting visible for the wrong queries. That means there was a basic misunderstanding of what is our positioning statement. So I would be even visible for queries which I don't want to be visible for. And unfortunately, the product marketing team was not driving it. So all these differences came in. So that's where I think there's an ownership vacuum who actually owns visibility. Now, SEO owns keywords. That's our previous word. But now in AI world, it's all about positioning, recommendations, product market fit. One answer: does AI recommend your product? Right? This is not an SEO question. That's a product marketing question. I'm running through like a train. Please stop me and ask questions anytime. So this is how a typical conversation somebody searches in GPT, right? Best CRM for small sales teams. Now, this is how typically ChatGPT gives. HubSpot is great if you're all-in-one platform, free tier. Pipedrive, close. Now, the question is, this is nothing but a positioning statement, nothing else. Now, your job is that how do I create a content architecture that will help me position? For example, if my focus ICP is on startups or small sales teams, then what do I need to do to write content that will help me position as the best CRM for small sales teams? The idea is not to get ranked one or two. The question is, ChatGPT will list 5 or 10. How do I get in the 10 is what we are looking at, right? So you don't have to think too far. Now, again, another comparison, Google shows links, rankings. AI is basically recommends, optimize for confidence, and summarizes the market. That's it. That's what the AI search does. That's why it's important that when you're writing content, all these things needs to be given to the AI so that it can actually summarize its own recommendations. We have to agree that we are selling to bots. We are writing for bots, period. Right? Bots have a certain logic. It will go and basically verify that whether you're good enough to be visible. Again, reiterating the same, the AI recommends brands it can understand clear messaging that AI can parse and repeat. Compare. Like if you are a SaaS product, you have to give AI reason why mine is better than his, like HubSpot or Salesforce or HubSpot or Pipedrive. You need to basically give those comparisons saying that why in AI somebody searches, these things are relevant for AI to make the decision. And make it very simple positioning. So it have to, like when you say that I'll cover that positioning part, it has to be very simple. Don't use jargons. Don't say mine is an end-to-end platform that helps legacy system. No. Simple. What are you trying to solve? It basically streamlines existing, you can say streamlines managed service operations, period. That's it. Nothing else. It's very clear statement. So sometimes I have this example of Subway. I used to live in the US. I used to go Subway. And when Americans order Subway, they'll say, I want this, no onions. I've seen a lot of Asians come and say, I want tomatoes, olives, everything except onions. The way you say is very different. They just say no onions and it's end of story. So AI search is like that, where your statement has to be really clear and precise and crisp. Now, typically, where do AI gets those data from? How does it define or learn that, okay, your is a website I can, domain, you can actually be visible, right? One is the training data. Obviously, your website, dogs, review, Reddit, everything has a massive importance. Then it also looks at, is your content crawlable? The same thing which you talked about, what is it, JavaScript, all those things happen because a lot of times I know that's a real problem. But by the time AI, it basically doesn't have patience, right? Your page has to load. If it doesn't load, okay, bye, I'm going next. I'm keep moving on. So your site has to be crawlable. That's where the whole maybe a tech SEO comes in. And when I say crawlable content, are you having case studies with case study data, like how you help some customers have 50% increase in savings? All those things it loves. Anything with data. And a lot of times what happens that those things are not part of your content. It will be a regular amazing blog, but those things won't be there, right? So, and are you structuring? For example, the first thing they talk about, your first statement into is your summary. Basically, are you basically clearly saying what you're trying to write in the blog? So it will be 3 lines. It's not about the moment you start in today's world, you're gone. That blog is over. Because that's the typical way of how people write in this year in today's world. And typically LLM used to do it, right? The moment you ask a blog from LLM, will say in today's world, they'll start with a Gyan kind of thing and then end of story. So those things have to be avoided. You basically say what it is. Call a spade if you want to have a very different way of looking at it. Is your contents calling a spade a spade? So those are things, and you don't. So typically, when I tell people about AEO, don't worry about keywords. I tell them the moment you go into keywords direction, you are gone because you will try to now stuff the keyword here and there. If your content, if your is good enough, keywords will come. It's like if you build it, it will come. If your content is good enough, keywords will start coming in. Don't worry about that. Now, I know somehow my slides are okay. What can you do, right? This is a typical PMM job. Define product messaging, competitive battle cards, mapping buyer personas, crafting narratives, and enable sales with decision stage. All this are basically was there even before AI came in. It's not something new overnight. But coincidentally, that's what AI search needs. It's pretty simple. And that is why I kept saying AU is actually product marketing problem because this is the standard definition of any PMM since I was 30, 40 years ago. That nothing changes. But as luck would have it, AI says that's what I need to make you visible. And that is what you need to tell your teams saying that this is what I need to do. Now your challenge is that are you clear in this? If you don't have that clarity here, AI will never rank because your content will be jumbled. Are you trying to boil the ocean? For example, AEO requires 3 things: content volume, content velocity, and content density. That means if I'm a CM product, I may have for manufacturing, I may have for software, I may have for small businesses. I will not try to write a generic CRM content. I will say I need to focus. One position is manufacturing. I have to dominate the manufacturing space. So that means I need to have a create separate content calendar just for manufacturing. For example, if let's say I have fruit garden, I own 70% is apple, 10% banana, 10% grapes, 10% mango. AI will say I am an Apple company. It will never say I am, but because I have content density and topical authority on Apple. So the same way, what AI, your product position a different industry, a different ICP needs to have its own AEO strategy. It can't be a generic one. That's why it's even more important from a PM point of view. So same thing, clear and consistent positioning, repeat across site, doc reviews, press, that consistency is needed. This is nothing but your standard ABCs of PM product marketing, right? If your positioning is only lives in pitch deck, but your website language, everything is different, then that's why AA gets it wrong. Typically, what I've seen is the sales deck will be brilliant, everything will be fine, but that doesn't get translated in your website or any content you write. And then there's a huge discrepancy, and then people start questioning what's happening. So that's why it's important that you keep asking LLMs to know, hey, what do you think of my brand? Then that will actually tell you if your positioning is right. Okay, it keeps scrolling your website. So it will tell you, I had the same problem initially, but then that helped me to make SEM AI better because I started making sure the right content goes in so that even AI corrects me, identifies me the right way. It is the iterative process, but you need to do this. This will tell you exactly, don't show your boss because he may start appraising you, but you can do it yourself.
Uh, Raghu, there are two questions in the chat
Yes,
side.
please.
The first is from Jayesh saying, is it okay to ask the LLM to give out AEO ready content? Or is the in today's world or those AI ticks non-ideal? Is there a playbook for what kind of content to generate?
Yeah, it's all about prompt engineering. See, on Gen A, the only thing you can do is prompt engineering. Now, AI can give you whatever you want. You know, it, it, the biggest challenge is governance. How do you know what AI is giving you the right thing or not? If so, that is where most of the let's say, I won't say failures, mishaps happen, because if you don't know what to ask and how to judge whether the answer is the right answer it gives, that's when you don't get the right content, right? Then you will say, hey, AI gave me this. So the key thing is you can ask all those things, but you need to know what to ask, and you need to basically constantly question. For example, I make Gemini GPT Claude fight against each other. That's an awesome way. It's also a lot of fun. So you do get some good. For example, for my product, when we generated the content generation feature, it took me 6 hours nonstop. I had to sit and govern. It gave me a lot of things. I have, because a cloud hallucinates like crazy. So I have to basically make them come on, like, okay, don't go there, come back, come back, come back to this is what I want. So if you are ready, if you know how to go about doing it, you should no harm in going to LLM and doing it. So, but you need to know what you want. So you have to give even you say, I want the same structure of AEO, it will give you a structure. But then the more you question, it will say, yeah, I missed this, I missed that. Right? But you need to know what to ask, right? So that's where the challenges come in. So a lot of people have said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to do Claude for my AEO." I say, go ahead and do it. But after 6 months, they come back saying, "Boss, I don't know how to scale it." It's great when you are a small company, but then scaling, making sure always Claude gives the right answer, and making sure Claude doesn't hallucinate. All those things are there. So if you are confident of managing that, you should know how.
Raghu, one other question. Do PMMs have or should they have a say when it comes to deciding content formats? Because in their experience, Prithvi is asking the question, has seen that a lot of response citations on Gemini, ChatGPT, or Perplexity tend to prioritize certain formats over the other. And to be honest, I've heard the whole put everything in Markdown business as well. So it would be great to get an answer.
I always follow this KISS thing, keep it simple, stupid, right? So don't worry about formats, because the first thing come top down. Okay, what am I trying to achieve? What is the message I'm trying to give? And how can I give the messaging in various formats? That's how I look at it. So you could do a listicle to get the messaging out. You can do a FAQ, send the messaging out. So you think like that. If listicle has a fitment there, go ahead and do it. So you don't need a content guy to say what formats are needed. Let's put it that way. Now, these things are basic stuff, right? You don't, because anybody can come up with a listicle and a FAQ, but what should be the listicle? What should be the FAQ is what you have to come and say, hey, this is what I want. It's not about, it's the same question I had yesterday. Someone saying, oh, our listicles are not getting listed. I said, so what? You are trying to, so in AO, you are not optimizing a page, you're optimizing a domain, right? Now, imagine when you're investing in mutual funds, you buy 10 stocks, all the 10 may not go up. There'll be, you basically looking at a portfolio, and how do you manage the portfolio? This portfolio can be from an AO perspective, a listicle or FAQ, something. So you're not saying my listicles are not getting, don't worry about that. Is your domain getting listed? That is what matters. So you're writing a blog not to get the blog listed, but that you're trying to writing a blog to make sure that you get topical authority in there, and any of the content you write is going to get listed. That's it. So I think that mindset change needs to be there. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Very well. I don't think there are no other questions in the chat, at least, Raghu. Please
Oh.
continue.
Now, typically this is like an extreme case, right? But what I've seen it a lot, where your competitor, they may have a lot of comparison pages, active on G2, LinkedIn, YouTube. There's a clear differentiation there. But if you are serious about AEO, and if you don't have all these things, for example, AI has nothing to read on you, right? So again, the other thing is, for example, Comparison pages is only works when it's a SaaS subscription product. But just because I need comparison pages, don't keep writing it. So you need to have that judgment. Is like, for example, when somebody say SAP and Oracle, they don't want to compare because there's the enterprise sale. You don't need comparison pages. But if you're talking about HubSpot or Pipedrive, then you would want to say, okay. So that's where you'll have to understand industry and find out what kind of content is required, which a content marketer will not know, SEO guy will not know. They'll go say, okay, do I have a listicle FAQ? There will be a checklist. The moment you have a checklist, then you are, it's game over. So one is, that's why it's important to understand the space, understand industry, ICP, what content how that persona will look when they go to AI is what it is. Now, few examples of how typical awareness, consideration, right? You talk about what is, how do companies solve. Now, there is a thought process that, hey, AI already gives me the summary. Why do I need top of the funnel content? So it's a gray area. So what typically we suggest is have 10-20% top of the funnel. That's it. Don't go beyond that, but focus on mid funnel. And then let's say 50% mid funnel and 30% bottom of the funnel. So that's how we look at, that's kind of an ideal thing which we are looking at. Because what's happening is one of my clients, 70% of traffic is awareness traffic for them. We said was if it's awareness traffic, it's probably useless or educational traffic. They're not going to get any business. At the end of the day, your CEO is going to ask, so you're doing all this content, so what? Are we getting traction, organic traction? So in a way, product marketing leads to a demand gen. You can't help it, right? Because you're writing all this, because you get noticed, people come and ultimately fill a form. That's why the whole CRO, all those things. But it's not just about questioning. Are you getting the right guy to read the content, or make sure that you are visible across every let's say query that they're asking, and are they coming to your website, right? So in a way, you will be response some kind of a demand gen, no doubt. Because what's happening is, let's say if you go to ChatGPT, you will ask, I'm looking for a CRM for small business for 5-man sales team. You don't stop there. In GPT, you will have 3, 4, 5 queries. I mean, that's how it works. That means I need to be visible across all the 5 conversations they are asking. So it may start as top of the funnel, then slowly becomes middle and bottom. So for that query, what is the full funnel journey you need to know? How will a customer find me when that customer starts from find me CRM for small sales teams? If you don't know, then you have a real problem. But you need to write a content which will make sure that I am being visible throughout the journey, which doesn't happen in SEO. SEO, it was just CRM software. That's it, end of story. Now here, there's a journey. You have to know what journeys typically they'll follow, and how do I make sure that my content gets visible throughout the journey. If I'm not visible after the first conversation, somebody's asking GPT or Google AI, that's it. You're forgotten, because he's that person is going to carry on different queries, and who are visible in those queries, he's going to go for that. So that's the other thing, when you need to realize that it's not just saying that I'm going to do one awareness, one consideration. No, what is the journey, and you basically fit the funnel there. That's it. So this is one example, right? Messaging AI can slot you into AI powered end-to-end platform that I'm trying to let me say this end-to-end platform that leverages synergies, right? AI will definitely skip you. So you need to have very crisp, X helps Y do Z. That's it. Simple. That's why I say call a spade a spade. It really helps you when your content, everything, even your homepage, you have the hero message, everything has to be aligned with that. So this is my kind of final, there's still some more slides are there, but in a way, this is already your job. AI actually is helping you make sure that your roles are much more, let's say, elevated now. So you don't have to fight for it. You're already there. Now, if FEMM doesn't own it, so I get, when I wanted to put a meme about Sholay. In Sholay, you have Gabbar Singh, and there are 3 guys who are about to get shot. So I always imagine one is SEO, one is content and product. And Gabbar Singh says, "Kitne aadmi the?" And the guys will say, "Ek PMM Sarkar." Right? That's where you need to go. Right? So I feel that's where the industry is going. And you need to make sure that you are heard, right? It's not that I say so today you get motivated, but that has to be conveyed to your teams, to your management, saying that this is how it's going to work. If you want to be successful in AEO, the PMM has to drive it, period. So that's how it's changed. And most of the senior leaders, to be fair, they also don't understand AEO much. They know, okay, people are going to GPT and search, but the bells and whistles, how that works, they also not fully aware. So part of the reason is that is poor, they are not aware and may not be a priority. They have 1,000 other things in their mind. But where you can help is how do you promote that and tell your management or senior leaders that this is how it's changed and this is how it needs to change. So presence, preference, performance. That's probably how I think AI looks at it. One is presence. Does AI know you exist? Does AI recommend you? And does it actually choose you when a buyer is about to buy something or making a decision, right? So your thought process of how to write content could be around this also, right? Your first target should be, I need to be visible. Second target is, okay, when I visible, it could be only small percentage queries, but then as you keep understanding your customer, you write more content, then the preference will start because now you're going to do a lot. And hopefully that will move to conversion. A lot of people have asked me how much of content I should write because initially I talked about content density and content volume. That you will know only when you know is AI citing you. If AI is not citing you, you are basically starting from scratch. That means the amount I know couple of product SaaS companies who write 400 blogs a month. I know another SaaS company. These are fast growing Series B funded guys. I know another SaaS company who realized that their SEO strategy was not working. They started publishing 15 web pages a week. So more work for you. But that is the reality at this point of time because AEO is about topical authority. How can I have topical authority for not just CRM? It's like CRM software for manufacturing, I should have topical authority. CRM software for healthcare. I mean, you are talking about different ICPs, different personas. Imagine for every domain, you want to have topical authority, you're going to go nuts. It is a real-time problem. Uh, I had another Bangalore-based series, heavily funded company. He came and told me that budget is not a problem. He has written so much of content. He has a 60% share in GPT on top of the funnel. But he said that I don't know how to get, I'm not visible in buyer stage or consideration stage. We audited their content. It was like an essay. It's like for a 2-mark question, they have written 10 marks question answer. So it's like this is basically how SEO is written. So we had to change, like you can't write like this. You have to move beyond personas. What they basically said, let me do a big pulao with every vegetable in the crown. I'll even add biryani masala, everything. So it worked to an extent because that's in SEO it actually that will still work, but doesn't work in AEO because they don't AEO doesn't like long. AEO doesn't have the patience to read long articles. That's because okay, it'll be like a 2-minute snippet kind of thing. So it's not just about writing content. You need to know where the gaps are and how can you plug the gap. For that, you need to do a certain, you can always try, have some few queries of your top of the funnel and go to GPT and say, okay, where are the gaps? And who is coming out? Is my competitors coming out? That will help you give you some direction in terms of, okay, I'm weak here, I'm strong here, I'm okay here. And then your content strategy can be, if you're weak, then you have to write, for example, 2 to 4 topics a week only on that cluster. CRM software for banking. And if I'm not even visible, for example, I have like 2 to 4 for 1 to 2 months until I know, okay, it's like initial boost when you take off. And then you go to cruise speed. The other thing that has changed in AEO is that you can never dominate because every customer will ask in different ways. Now, you will not know how they ask. If you are able to get 30-40% visibility, that's a fantastic job done. So you also need to know when to stop, when to go cruise. You can't just pushing all the time and when to basically make sure, okay, I'm in a cruise mode here. Let me focus on this GTM, this GTM. So it is, there should be some method to madness. So you need to know. That's why when I talk to customers, they say, what is your GTM for the next 6 months? What are you trying to focus on? Focus on that. Don't just focus everything. The other thing is if you already have existing content, that's a great place to start. You don't have to write new content. make sure the existing content is repurposed for AEO. I think that will. I know the customer, and they said, "Hey, I repurpose in January." They said, "I repurpose." I started getting more inbounds in Feb March because they started doing it. I don't have time to write new blogs. It has to go for review. All those cycles. It will take a lot of time. Let me do the refresh so that at least I'll have some kind of a boost initially.
Raghu,
So,
I'm
yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry, but there are a couple of questions. One was about how do we measure the success metrics? And I think at exactly around like 2 minutes after the question was asked, you showed that presence, preference, performance slide. So I think that's one way of looking at it, but maybe a little deep on like tactically, how is one good way of measuring?
So what you could do is, my clients are the same thing. Okay, you're writing a lot of blogs. So what? You know, how my CEO used to have, Raghu, you're always busy, but I am trying to see what's the output coming in. So the typically what we do is we look at Google Search Console. It tells you exactly what queries you are getting ranked or visible. Impressions. When I say ranked, I'm talking impressions. Like where people are searching, but Google says that you are visible. That's a great place to start. And you can even find out which all your new content are they visible, what is the query. So we actually what we do is all you have to do is take the Google Search Console download file, put it in Claude saying, hey, these are the blogs I wrote, tell me what's happening. It will give you. And it will one other thing you can do is clusters. Now cluster is a new topic cluster, a new term that's come in the AEO world, right? For example, when I say topic cluster, if I look from let's say CRM for small teams is topic cluster. Somebody searches, am I visible? CRM for fintechs is a topic cluster. Now you can also take your Google search queries, compare. Okay, last month, take all the queries, put it in Claude, saying, hey, clusterize this for me. It will beautifully clusterize. And you keep prompting to make sure the cluster becomes correct. You can take the next month and say, clusterize this for me. You'll see the change in cluster. Okay, whatever content I've developed, is there any change? Is there a new cluster that is getting added? I did that when we started our whole uh, when we started our content journey. Basically, I had a specific method to manage. Okay, let me publish 2 blogs a day for 3 months. I did that's the experiment I did, and I looked at Google Search Console. Looked at okay how it basically told me from 3 months ago you are visible here. Now you are even more visible here. You are more topical authority. It actually tells me based on the Google Search Console. That's a great way of quickly finding out how your content strategy is moving. So, but you give at least 30 days. You can't just say if you write today, next week is going to be visible or something. Do that properly for 30 days, then compare. Again, 30 days, next compare. And then you can do month to month or every 2 month comparison. That's the easiest way to measure and even show to your senior management what's happening.
Uh, One other question: do we have visibility on traffic? And I think the audience decided to answer people that you get it from GA, and you mentioned that Search Console covers it.
But if you want the actual LLM traffic, go to the server, look into your servers because GA is still they are fighting against ChatGPT, so they don't actually give the actual traffic of LLMs. So if you have server logs will give you how much is GPT, how much to the dot. So you can get it from, if you're able to get it from ask your web guys to give you a server log. The actual traffic will be there.
All right. The next question is: does a TLDR for long blogs do some good? And then they've added plus FAQs as a add-on.
Long logs, the moment anything which says long is not a good AEO thing. So, I mean, if you're able to do 1200, word blogs, fair enough. That should be more than that. So, I would not, because see, what's happening in AEO is are you giving a solution to a pain point? That's what AEO looks at. You don't need a long block to do that. I can probably say it's like the more narrow you go, that's why the general consensus the AEO is good for mid and bottom because as the funnel goes narrower, your pain point is narrower, your answers are narrower, everything is narrower. So focus on having specific narrower mandate rather than saying a long block. That will like rather than writing one long blog, I would say look for 2 short, 1200 or 1000 words blog, which actually answers the pain point. That's more than enough. And FAQs, yeah, you need to have it because FAQs is a good thing. At least at this point of time, The problem is AEO, it doesn't pass through the full content sometimes. It will just look at the TLDR or just go direct to the FAQs. So you don't know. It's like, as Forrest Gump says, life is AEO is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. So you, it's more of a hygiene thing. Have the FAQ, no harm.
The next question is, you mentioned that getting our domain cited is important. So does domain authority matter for AEO? If yes, is it worth building backlinks from authoritative relevant websites that align with our product and ICP?
Okay. My personal opinion is domain authority doesn't matter in AEO. The case in point, SEM AI. I was a nobody 4 months ago, but I do get organic leads. My domain is the price absolutely like what 5 or 10, 15 maybe. So that is another change that has happened. That is it's almost like the small guys have coming back to the revenge in AU, right? That's happening now. Now backlinks are getting hit big time because LLMs cite only high authoritative domain. And domain, so is this where the domain authority comes in? Where it's, for example, if you go to any search, right? The results what we have seen is tech targets, CX today. Some of the top sites are getting visible. The smaller sites where just for the sake of backlink you go do something, those things are out of the window. I know a good friend of mine tried to do that, increase traffic. He said nothing worked. He basically started doing a 2 month backlink strategy. He said it didn't work. So backlinks, even though I know that everybody is saying, "Oh, I need backlinks, blah blah blah," all those things, I would say don't even worry about it. But publish your article in some syndicated columns or publishing sites. That will definitely help. PR is a big thing now. I mean, EI News Buyer never had a campaign. No, if in YouTube they keep having video campaigns. That's how PRs have become very important. So typically, a good practice is every 6 weeks, if you can do a PR, please do it. It can be a feature, it can be anything. So now it's also getting diluted. Sub low PR kar rahe hain, right? So, and it's quite inexpensive. Like AN press price like $500, but Globe PR wire is, I heard, is very good because their coverage is good. I know people have said, boss, after my PR, I've got 2 demo requests from PR itself. So it seems to be working. So these things are more of outside of your website or your blogs or anything. What are other things non-domain things which you can do? PR could be one. LinkedIn articles are getting really cited in ChatGPT, because typically I thought ChatGPT will have trouble accessing LinkedIn because of the LinkedIn's login, all those things. Now somehow that's coming in, and YouTube videos are really getting popular. So those things you could do. And I will say don't spend, because everybody say let's go to Reddit, let's do Quora. Reddit is a dedicated effort. If you're going to Reddit, have one day only do Reddit, don't do anything else. If not, Reddit is a absolute pain. So you have to choose which ones you want to focus on and do a really good job on it rather than trying to boil the ocean. So that's something you have to do. I feel if you do a good LinkedIn or Medium or YouTube videos, those are good enough things to do, because Reddit is still only less than 5% of visibility so far. That's what we have seen, at least in B2B case.
Okay, one final question. This is a slightly long one. Clearly, a writer is writing this. So Priya says, what should the split be? Optimizing for bot versus writing for humans? Because as you correctly said, while people mostly focus on being visible during the awareness stage, the other two stages do require the content to be created for human consumption. Definitely a writer. Also, does content that performs well for AEO also convert well for humans, or does that require a different approach?
Oh my God. Okay. Uh, I Let me start. So the middle form, bottom funnel is very important. She's right in terms of how many people actually read the blogs that visit or that go to the site that gets visible in ChatGPT. I think it's very less, if you ask me. But I see the domain. Oh, I see SEM AI everywhere. So AU has become more of a branding initiative than a lead gen initiative. Because is semi, if somebody is looking at AU across different queries or different funnel, is semi visible? If semi is not visible, I'm not even going to go there. But I'm not even read the blog. I just, okay, I see this quiz. So it's becoming more of a branding than a lead gen. But what happens is, if they still come to your website, that's a very high intent visitor. That means they have convinced that, okay, you are visible. I need to check this company out. Can you? I think there are a lot of questions. Can you maybe reread it again? I think I may
No,
have
no, we're
missed
on
it.
the last one. You've been knocking them out. Don't worry, Raghu. The last one is any case studies
No,
where
no, the
majority.
previous question, which you said, I'm
Oh,
not sure
right,
I
right.
answered
No,
everything.
no. I think you have, but Priya, if you're there and if you want to unmute
Okay,
yourself
it
and
was a long question. I want to make sure I answered it fully.
Hi, Raghu. Hi, Vipul.
hey,
Um,
Hi, Priya.
yeah. So my question was, I think during the SEO phase, right, where that was all um the trend. People who are on the SEO side, they insist on doing things that make you visible, stuffing keywords and this and that. And as you correctly said, I come from the writer side. So, that was always a constant struggle between SEO and writers. Like
Yes,
you
yes.
don't find content that is SEO optimized very readable, very, it just doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, you are being held to ransom by the SEO guys.
Exactly, exactly. So now in the AEO phase, I'm trying to understand what do you, because from what you say, it looks like AEO also likes content that humans would want to read, right?
Yes,
The way it looks at it is similar to what a human would also want to understand from a website. But is there a way to, does it require a different approach? Do you write certain kinds of content for, this?
it's
For
more
a.
of a structure. Basically, unfortunately you are selling to bots, right? The humans decide, then only bots decide whether to cite your content or not. The next thing is you can't write human way. It's just a structure. Because A looks for clarity. Don't use buzzwords, right? So that's why
Hmm.
thought leadership content doesn't much work that well in AU, because thought leadership is very high level, you know, and
Mhm.
thought leadership will work well when you are putting that content in maybe a website like Tech Target, all those things, like if you're doing content syndication. You can, so it's more of, okay, well, at the end of the day, when you're writing a content, what AO wants to know is, are you calling spade a spade? Are you solving a specific pain point? And are you showing some data to support your pain points? Are you go? So it's certain. It looks for certain content, irrespective whether AI writes it or you write it. And it like loves simple English, short sentences. It's like a kid. Let's be very. It's a 10-year-old kid,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
doesn't have patience, who is more used to crawling than I don't have patience. I want to make sure what I read, I get it in 1 second.
Mhm.
So if you take that in mind, assume that you're writing for a 10-year-old kid, then your content also will be much more simpler. You can explain even a complex thing in a simple way, then
Mhm.
it has a much better way of getting ranked or visible in this space.
Okay. Okay.
But content plays a huge role. That's why in some companies, I know one good product company where the content guys are the ones who are driving AEO.
Okay.
Where I said they are publishing 15 web pages.
Mhm.
So here they are driving digital. That's the interesting point. So
Okay.
the roles are definitely changing. That's why it's disrupting a lot of how the previous marketing structures are. So where I know, so this Series B company, they specifically told me, Raghu, I'm not even getting my SEO near this, SEO guy near this. This was the exact words he used. Because he said, I don't think it's a mindset shift. They don't shift the mindset to more of a product marketing or messaging. They will never get the AEO part. So it was very clear for me.
Okay.
I hope I answered your
Thanks.
question, Priya.
Yes, yes, you did. Thanks so much, Raghu.
There was one more, right, Vipul?
last one. Oh no, some new question came in. But okay, second last one. Any
Uh-huh.
case studies where majority of the traffic for a new website came from AI search compared to other organic mediums?
When you say organic mediums, what do you mean? I'm trying to, yeah, because organic is AI search is organic anyways. But yeah, I mean, I can guarantee that. I mean, I have SEM AI was a perfect example. I was a new website. It took me 2, 3 months to be visible, but then traffic started coming in. So that definitely is there. But you have to keep at it, because the biggest challenge I have faced when I'm writing content or designing content is that there are so many problems I can solve with SEM AI, but then I can't do everything because then I'll be boiling the ocean. I have to know which are the use cases I need to go after and how can I get traffic for those use cases is the biggest challenge. So that's where the product marketing part comes in, that based on your sales calls with customers, your inside sales calls, does it give you any insight on is there any pattern on what pain points they are talking about? So it's important that, interesting, I know there's one startup I spoke to, all their sales calls, it goes through that, there's, I think the closing, I think it basically filters the sales call, finds the pain points, sends it to a product marketer, and that product marketer writes the full content strategy based on that. Right?
That
So these
sounds.
are things you need to use because then you are directly hitting you don't need a GPT to research what pain point is.
So Raghu, I mean, this is something that I've been looking at and trying to solve in the companies I've been working with as well. I think there is a desire to niche down, because if you niche down, then it's easier for you to create focused content and therefore
True.
have a disproportionate impact, because
Correct.
the legacy SEO was, like you said, ocean boiling with lots of
Ah,
fire. If you pick a smaller set, then you can be more effective around it. So that's where the product marketing part comes in, right? Because
absolutely.
targeting everything to ICP and making sure you're thinking in terms of the funnel, not just what are all the use cases I can cover, but if someone comes with a use case on my website, how do I get them to a
Ah.
demo or to buy, right? Does that make sense?
So yeah, that intelligence you need to get it, and that you can only get from a lot of sales outreaches or any other events. We go. So all those data has to come in, right? Otherwise, you'll if you don't know, then you have a problem. All the product guy has to say, you are the guy who designed the product. You need to know for what use case did you build it.
I think Abhinav was clarifying his question. Abhinav, if you can unmute and just ask directly, I think that'll be easier. I think you
Yeah, so
also.
I just wanted to ask if there are case studies where, you got majority of traffic coming from AI search rather than normal search, right? So
Oh, Google.
is there
Okay.
yeah,
I
even
don't
like
think.
social mentions, yeah.
Yeah, I get. I don't think it's a state where you're going to get majority of the search from LLMs yet. But you also need to understand Google has already changed the algorithm to LLM algorithm or close to it. They don't admit it, but if you follow what Google is saying is go for context, go for density, and the same thing what even ChatGPT says. So there's no difference in terms of whether you call it an AI search or not. Google has already moved that. It's been more than 6 months since they moved to the AI search algorithm. So I would say that if you're getting traffic from Google, then it's probably the AI search. You just go to the Google Search Console, right? Previously, you will see only keyword. Now you're seeing queries. Now, the interesting part is when Google is saying for this query, your page is visible or you're getting this many impressions, doesn't mean the exact query, by the way. It basically summarizes multiple queries. Okay, all these queries form this cluster. Okay, it's all about this topic. So that is the giveaway that AI angle is already started to pick up. So currently every search engine, including Google, the algorithms move to AI search algorithm. So I don't think they will not go back at all, because if you look at last 2 months, the amount of changes Google has introduced just to be in line with GPT or Gemini is quite unbelievable. They are trying to make sure the search is now inside Google AI mode, and slowly I think these are a bridge thing, which slowly they'll move everything to Gemini soon, but I see the signs.
And even now, I think Google dominates 90% of
Yeah,
overall search volume easily.
yeah.
So
Google still dominates, no doubt. But what's happening is that
that
recently
AI.
the Google paid campaigns have become a what do you say, it's a disaster, because what's happening is now people are not just going to Google; they also move to GPT, and because of the AI overviews, nobody's seeing the ads. So they are because they are trying to make sure that $100 billion revenue is safe. So they will do a lot of things to make sure they hold their thing. And that's where there's a lot of fight between Perplexity, GPT, and Google putting a wall guard and all those things.
Raghu, I think unbelievably you've gone through all the questions really well. So
Thank you.
unless someone has something else to ask, I think we can Someone asked if they can get the deck, but please, people
I
are.
can, yeah.
Okay.
There's no proprietary stuff here. It's all basic, you know. Yeah.
All right, we'll work with Raghu to pass that on with SEM AI.
So, as the next slide is basically getting back to basics, simplify positioning, build comparison narratives, create use case content that will lead to a topical authority and just keep monitoring. Yeah, and it's an iterative process. It's not going to be overnight, but you can make the start. I always say, go with the idea. How do I dominate this space? This space has to be a micro space. As I say, it's not CRM software. CRM software for a small pie teams or startup. That's how you need to focus. So when I actually deal with customer, they'll ask me, "Oh, can you do AEO for my website?" I said, "What is your GTM? Are you clear on GTM? How many GTMs do you have?" That's how we work. That means I know that if they don't have that knowledge, they'll think everything like an SEO. SEO is like do SEO for a website. A is about GTM's alignment because when you do ABMs and other campaigns, when the marketing team does, it has to align with what your GTM is. So the visibility helps that case. I think I've gone through this. Again, it's a rehash of tofu, mofu, bofu. Okay. Old can customers find us? Here will AI recommend us. That's probably a new rule. So it's all a mindset. When you think like that, your content, everything will come out, right? So this is a good example of bad and good messaging. I have seen a lot of the AI-powered end-to-end platform leveraging synergies, right? I hate this AI-powered thing. I mean, last 1 year I've had sab kuch AI-powered. What is this? Because then now AI got oversold because of that. It got diluted. But it's not about AI. HR software for fast-growing startups is much more easy. What is the software doing? Irrespective of AI, no, not AI, right? That's how you need to think. That's why recently I consulted for a startup contract management software. They started me AI powered end to end. Boss, sab kuch dal do. It's like a kitchen sink. What are you trying to? Are you saying time for your customer, or are you getting how to find things faster, right? So that crispness needs to be there. So same thing, if your competitors have compared clear use cases, they get recommended. So you can always go to your competition. You write those 5, 6 queries, see what competitors comes in, and go look at the website. That's probably an easy way to find out what's different. Now search is becoming conversational. So what's ECRM is the easiest find. So when you write content also, this itself becomes a content topic. The query is a content topic. Previously you may talk about something very different, very jargony. Now you have to be call a spade kind of a topic. Even the titles has to be like that. So the good thing is we are in the starting of the whole AEO thing. Even though if you go to LinkedIn, you will think that you are the ones who are lagging behind. But trust me, when I speak to the marketing teams, they are still starting. They are even thinking whether to start or not. So the good thing is you do have a lot of options to own the visibility. That means owning visibility, nothing but owning messaging, period. It also gives a good KRA that what saying that, hey, my GPT is saying that what I think we are messaging. So that's the KRA for me. You can always go and say that my KRA is what GPT says about the product, right? It's all things which we already talked about. So that's it. I mean, I can show a demo of the product I have, but or you can just reach out to me later. But that's it about AEO. I probably rushed through, maybe spoke a lot, but I'm open for more questions. Anything you want?
Raghu, I think personally, and we can check with the audience unless they really disagree. We'd love to see a demo of the product to see how this fits into how your tool solves for that problem.
Okay, I'll just quickly do in 15 minutes so that it also does. I know it's a Saturday. I still have UX problems in my site, so you can always, if you're finding bugs, please let me know. I'm always be ready for criticism and someday, hey, your site doesn't work, so fine. So typically this is how we give dashboards, right? Basically what we do is this is like a dash where the more content you write, we start tracking those content. Now the key thing is the tool basically takes the relevant queries what your content is answering. For example, if you're writing a blog on CRM for CRM software banking, it say, okay, what is your content answering? And are you visible for it? So for this customer, assume that we are tracking around 275 queries. The LLM citation is around 24%, 67% is visible. And Google, we track differently, 34%. And we track by GPT, Gemini, Perplexity. It also tells you how you're doing across LLMs. And it also saying what's your share of voice, who is your customer or your tech. For example, if you look at Tech Target, it's the off page, right? Tech Target as a magazine is getting cited. So you can say, okay, let me go to Tech Target and see if I can put my content out there. So this is like a dashboard which gives you all the data. The cluster is not, we have not set up the cluster for this customer, so it's not there. It also tells you what are the prompts which you are not visible, but your competitors are visible. And it also tells you volume. So we also track volume by LLMs. So I can tell you in India what query is getting what kind of volume. And it also tells you whether to write content for it. And what we also do is we integrate with Google Search Console and tells you, for example, I can say that the sample has a majority of this many impressions from top of the funnel. That means I need to balance the mix, saying that I should get more from bottom also and mid funnel also. So these are all insights which we look at and see how to go about doing it. But the main thing which from a product marketing angle I'm going to show is that the first thing is, am I ready? Is my website visible? That's the most important thing. I don't know if any of your companies will be there. I'm going to, let's say, WhatFix. They're not my customer yet. So, so what it does is I've taken one WhatFix page on the customer adoption page. What the tool does is it basically segments it by topic clusters. This is where we talk about which cluster you want to dominate, right? It basically is so, for example, these are some of the clusters like work and looks from buyer's point of view. How will a buyer look at it? Content lifecycle governance, AI implementation, contextual self-service support solution selection. So let's say for this cluster, we took one role-based in workflow guidance available. Somebody's searching around this when they are looking for a product. They are looking for these kind of use cases, the pain points which they have. Now, what the tool does is, from a funnel point of view, how is the visibility? It says they have a good average top of the funnel, weak in mid funnel, but very strong in bottom funnel. Now, if I were WhatFix, I will say I'm not going to focus more on this bottom funnel because I'm already strong here. I will just go on a maintenance mode. But I'm weak in the consideration stage. That means any content strategy which I'm doing has to be more focused on mid funnel. Top funnel average, I'll take it. I don't want to be strong because GPT, all those guys anyway gives a summary. So top funnel, I can live with it. But I will say I'm focused on more on this because this is a weak point for me. Now, the question is, I have this. Let me create what content I need to do to make sure that I'm able to bring my middle to strong, at least average, and keep my strong. So there is something called create planner. So I'll say create planner here. Now here planner is not, now what the planner says is, how do I create a content strategy? What should I write so that I get visible? Now, it's not LLM generated content. For example, if you look at this, for this cluster, there are 3 queries which it samples from a top, middle, and bottom funnel. Now, what it does is, let's say this query, it goes to Google or ChatGPT and finds out how is Google treating this topic, right? For example, if I say best CRO for small business, right? For example, okay, I don't see overviews. Where is okay? Here it is. It talks about all these topics, key pointers about customizability, automated workflows. What the tool does, it takes those points and tries to sync with how Google looking at it and come up with a content calendar, which kind of syncs with how even AI search looks at it. So that's how all this works. So what happens is the moment I'll show how the typical content calendar looks like. So that this is the visibility planner, we call it. While that is in progress, I'll show you something. So this is for a mutual funds guy. I'm assuming most of you are B2B guys, right? So maybe I'll show a B2B example. That will be okay. we had some AI prospect, AI investment allocation for adoption outcomes, where how do you measure our outcomes for based on AI investments? It basically gives you a funnel, 8-week content calendar, talks about, okay, you need to start with the top of the funnel. This is the middle funnel. What is the intent of the buyer here? Is it understanding, it's solving? So it actually finds out what kind of content you need to even write. And so it gives you for 8 weeks. Now, if you're okay with this, then it's okay, let me generate a content for this. I'll say I'll generate content. Now, what the tool does is the moment I put the topic here, it automatically finds out what queries the content should answer for this title. That means it will basically again look at your Google and ChatGPT and say, okay, based on the research it does, it basically say these are the queries that needs to answer. I can create my own style. I can even create whatever funnel, mid or bottom funnel, I can create content for that. So for example, it automatically comes up for this topic, these are the queries it will answer. And I can even add my own topic. Oh, why don't you cover this also? And then, hold on. Okay, there is a style. I can even have automatically gets the internal links from your site. You don't have to do anything. It does it. Let's say I told you about case studies and citation data, right? I can add a case study here or anything. What it does is it only takes a citable data from your case study and adds it to the content. Then I'll say generate. Done. So I will maybe show one more thing for thing so that let it get generated. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to generate. Just do another login and show you how a sample content looks like.
In the meantime, I think Raghu, Abhinav in particular is asking some questions about how the volume is being tracked or predicted. Are you rendering in a headless browser to fetch results for tracking or using the API?
APIs. We have direct connection to, I'll show you the tracking too. That's the next thing I'm going to show you after this. So this is a sample.
Sorry, one other thing, and someone wants a B2C example. So if you're working with any sort of B2C, or you can show that visibility.
A lot of the insurance guys are keen. So we are closely working with a few insurance guys. We're trying to do something. But yeah, so what happens is the moment I put a domain, right, the tool automatically recognizes whether it's a B2B or a B2C or a B2B2C. And then finds out how will a typical persona of that domain. For example, we have a questionnaire. We say, okay, who's the ICP? What is the age range? What is the pain point? It takes into account all those things, automatically finds, based on the persona, it comes up with a list of content that you need to write. So let me go here. Okay, so this is a sample content. This is in progress. This is a sample content it's writes. It gives you the every data, title tag, header structure, schema, everything is given. And it basically gives this is a document. It gives you, these are the internal links. And this exact structure is exactly how a AEO structure needs to be. When you export to a Word or something, the rendering, everything becomes okay. Here the rendering is like this, but the moment you start exporting to a WordPress, it has direct WordPress connections also, then it becomes okay. Now here, I can even make some changes here. I can basically add, hey, show some published stats or add a new section. Everything can be done here and then regenerate. And I can choose any kind of style, conversational style, or you have your own custom brand voice. It can also do all those things. I can then, if I have WordPress, I can export it as a doc, text or HTML, or I have WordPress, I can directly export to WordPress too. Why is the WordPress? Yeah, I can publish in WordPress directly. Now the question is, okay, fine, you have published the content, now you have to track it. So what we do is under AEO Wizard, there's an answer engine visibility. This is where I track. Now let me show SEM AI. I have not updated last 3 months because I'm as a startup, we are trying to make sure we don't spend money on credits, on API tokens, all those things. That's I think the daily problem with any Gen AI company is that the tokens just eat you up. So this is my data until last Jan. So I had like 214 LLMs. I stopped monitoring Gemini and Perplexity because I was mainly looking at GPT. And this is my Google. So what happens is that let's say this is a blog of mine. Okay. Now for this blog, what the tool does is chooses the best queries that are relevant for this blog from a consumer point of view. For example, it says how a lean B2B team effectively track competitor AEO performance across AI generated search results. If somebody is asking for it, I'm not visible here. I need to make sure I'm visible. But I'm visible for what are the essential components of an AEO program for a lean B2B SaaS marketing with limited resources. Because we are trying to find out what are the prominent queries that will be more apt to the blog you have written with at least a 90% relevance. Now, I'm not even ranking in SERP. Then it says for GPT, around 850 people are searching for around this topic. And this is 1200. And I have 100% visibility because in Gen AI, every time you ask something, the results come different. That means you need to be visible all the time, not just once or twice. So it basically says I am 100% visible here. And these are the other competitors who are coming in. Now, here I'm not visible. That means how do I do? One thing, I can definitely write a blog or something on this, but I can even create say what are the other things I can do to make sure that query becomes more visible. So it says, based on the query of how can a lean B2B effect track competitor AEO performance, it recommends an ultimate guide and how to article, snippet, and checklist. So it gives you the base content which you can write and publish. Now, the other thing in AEO is we talked about conversational journeys, right? Now, how will for example, there's something called follow-up query. How can I mimic how a user will interact in ChatGPT? So let's say somebody is finding best car insurance in India. This is a bottom directly is going for the jugular, right? Bottom. I want to find that 2,400 people are asking. This is for GPT. That means I can choose which LLM because every LLM answers differently what you're asking. So best car in India. Now, once the person asks this question, that user can go in multiple directions. There are 5 directions. He may ask, okay, what coverage level add-ons are there? Then they may ask for the bundle I want, which insurance type is likely to settle claims faster. So I'm trying to see what is the next level. Now let's say I like this 3 because this is very relevant. What are next? How will the user can go after that? So this is a conversation journey. That means I need to be visible not just in the parent query. I have to be visible across the full funnel. And it gives you how many people are searching, what kind of format you want to have. So it also kind of confirms, is my positioning correct? If I'm going to ask this particularly, how will the user will go? But the funny thing is, this is GPT. A Gemini might look at differently. So this is which AI plan will show brand mentions for SaaS companies. It will mimic how a Gemini will answer and what could be the different ways it could go. So same thing, if this is good, then you look at what are the next journey. So idea is that how can you be visible throughout the journey, not just the parent query. That means your content requirement, that's why content volume becomes so high now, because just with 2-3 queries, you're going to have 20-30 topics to write. So this is how we do it. And a lot of I can basically optimize my existing page. So what happens is here, is your current page optimized by AEO? For example, this page, it says it optimized, it looks at AEO, GEO, and SEO, and let's say it's only 2.55. It gives an audit. What is not working, what is good. But the problem is, audit is the easy part. It's like Gyan, anybody can give. But now the question is, what do I do with it? How do I apply the recommendations? So it gives the optimized content also. Okay. And now this is the optimized content. It gives the new headers. It tells you how it should be done, which you can always review and make some changes. All those things are there. I am rushing through because this requires typically 45 minutes to 1 hour. And the other thing I can even mention, look at brand reputation. How is my brand compared in, for example, let's say, it looks at Gemini and GPT and Perplexity. How is my brand compared in everywhere? So you may have certainly which are both positive, but then prefer could be some other brand. So it tells you across One is this is a feedback to your, okay, if I want to get more G2 reviews on certain things, I know which feature I need to get G2 reviews on, or like it's a feedback to the product team. So if you see here, quality assessment, it says both positive for both the companies, but the preferred is Sprinto. It says that. So it gives you those kind of results too. And I can add if I need to add FAQs, I can add FAQs here. Then it also looks at your Google Search Console. What happens is now Google Search Console is a mountain of data. You will go nuts trying to find out what it says. So I'll just pick my property, let's say semi, and I can do basically a deep audit. That means explain what it says, what I need to do. It also clusterizes your GSC and tells you how you're doing, and I can compare. Now, deep audit means, see, most of the time the problem is that, okay, my GSC shows the data, what do I do with it? So what? So in deep audit, what it does is, it basically says, okay, this is your website, this is your page, you're getting traffic, very high impression, low CTR. What can you do to improve? It gives the insights, not just this thing, the next best action, which as you can call it like that. So it tells you monthly impressions, what are things I can do. So if I even identifies conflicting pages, okay, consolidate to make it a single page. It looks at cannibalization, click loss, CTR gap analysis. A lot of data in there. But at the end of the document, it gives you a 30-day plan, what you need to do. Start with this, week 1, week 2, week 3. Again, it's iterative. See, all these are iterative. It's not that it's going to work, but it gives you a step forward, what next to be done. The same way, for example, if we have this cluster audit. So we talk about, so these are clusters, it says I'm visible, or this, so it basically looks at a different company. It looks at your query impressions. These are the clusters. It says high, very high, medium, and tells you who are competitors and this is what you can do. So if your clusters keep improving every month, you can compare. Okay, this month I have 8 clusters. Based on my how meta, I have 9 clusters or 10 clusters next time. So it also tells you that also. Then there are a lot of things are there. I'm trying to see what else is there. Again, I can refresh blog. Most of the company have hundreds of blogs. I can just we are actually updating this slightly old. All I have to do is put a content my URL here. It will automatically refresh for GS. If you look at your GSC data, like do you need to even refresh it first? It will do that filter. Then once it's yes means it will completely refresh. It's a new. We are upgrading this feature right now. Anything else? I know I ran through it, but because it will be difficult I won't do justice to the product until I have a huge time frame. But you can reach out if anybody's keen to know more.
Yeah, I think Abhinav at one point asked about, does it add images on its own? Can I run it on autopilot?
No, it doesn't add images. Unfortunately, no. Because image, we tried actually. So last year we did image and video. We even did a video for SEM AI with our own this thing. But then we realized that we don't want to boil the ocean because we have to be clear on what. So image as of now, no. I use Gemini. I just go to Gemini and just do it. It's simple for me.
This is very, very cool, Raghu. So, I mean, all of us.
And it is built from, that's why I say it's also built from product marketers point of view, like positioning, that kind of thing, rather than saying, okay, for this query, write this listicle, like this. It is very operation tactical and it's not a scalable one.
And this does like a lot of the effort for you, right? It tells you what's broken. It tells you what you need to do to fix it. Then it gives you what you need to fix it. It tells you how long it'll take and what impact it'll have. And it structures it out.
And the key thing is you still have to do human in the loop governance, because ultimately you are the person who knows anything about your product, your positioning, right? That needs to happen. So a lot of people say, is it autonomous? I said, let's not even go there. So it just aids you. That's it. Maybe you can think this as an elder wand, maybe.
Yeah. This is very impressive, Raghu. Thank you for walking us through the product. I have There are a few people who are. One last question is: can this be connected with Framer?
No, not yet.
Not yet. All right. But thank you so much. If anyone has any other, or someone says Mondays will be better with this tool. Thanks, Raghu.
I know. I know that. Absolutely, I agree on that.
Yeah, so I just think that if there are no other questions, I'd like to first thank you so much for doing this, Raghu. It's been quite an exciting sort of ride to understand a lot of this space with you. What I feel was most impressive about this was that the flow in which we have to think about this became clearer. I think everyone has some idea and bits and pieces, and everyone keeps talking about AEO, but to see it all coherently put together in one place, and then a tool that solves all those problems is just it's a very nice way of closing that loop and making that accessible for everyone. So thank you so much for sharing this. Of course, Varun and I will be in touch with you. To everyone who's attended, thank you so much for being here. Raghu has been very generous and is offering the tool that he was demoing towards the end, which seemed like it does everything. Like I think you should price better personally, but
Yeah, that's
that's another thing. But Raghu has been generous enough to ensure that everyone who attends will get access to his tool for some period of time. I think
absolutely.
and beyond that, of course, if there's anything else that he's mentioned that if you want to get a deeper demo of the product, then that's something that he would be open to figuring out. But other than that, and thank you so much, Raghu, I just wanted to let you know that, Raghu, this is the most heavily registered single
Yeah,
speaker event that GoPMM has run. So thank you so much for that. I think it's
no
very,
pressure.
yeah, no pressure. Then you kick butt, so that's perfectly fine. I think what we should also let everyone know is that we have a someone sent their email address in chat. So I'm sorry, I got a little taken aback. I'm not sure that's useful. We have the attendee data, so we'll be able to reach out to
Sure.
everyone and make sure they get access to it. So please don't worry about that. The other thing is, folks, we are planning a lot of things on the GoPMM side as well. The big surprise that Varun surprised me with in chat, saying that we'll talk about at the end of the session, is that we're having an offline GoPMM event on the 6th of June in Bangalore. Please, if you can make it, do attend. Raghu, of course, you're invited, but I think Chennai to Bangalore is about the same distance as Bangalore to Bangalore airport. So I know it's
Correct. Yeah.
But thank you, everyone, so much for attending. There's a lot going on. We'll be in touch and we'll get you access to this amazing tool. Thank you so much, Raghu, for taking out your time to do this.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for listening to me for last 1 hours on a Saturday morning. Hopefully we can catch up with most of you.
We'll be in touch, Raghu. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
I like staying till the end because except Ayushi, I know she left a chat message. It means these are the people who have left the computer or phone somewhere and I walked away.
Other Ayushi just messaged, so I don't think she.
That's why, not Ayushi, but everyone else.
We'll get them ending the session. See you all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.